Welcome to our 75 Years of Racin Tribute collection for Red, White, and Blue Racing Stock Car Action Game. Excited to have you here. I'm Keith Avalone from PLAAY Games. Sam is producing tonight's show as usual, and we're going to show you what we've been working on behind the scenes here on this 75 Years of Racin Tribute set. Jerry Minks, of course, gets the credit for creating the ratings for this card set. A lot of work went into this. Basically he's examining the entire body of statistics for the history of NASCAR. For those of you that don't know, NASCAR is celebrating its 75th anniversary this year, so the idea for this is generated from that celebration. Jerry and I started talking about this back around Christmas time when we became aware that, wow, they're going to celebrate their 75th anniversary, which we do to commemorate it. And we kind of started kicking some ideas around, and what you'll see tonight is what we've come up with. The first difficulty in creating this set, really, and something that Jerry and I really talked about a lot over the past several months, is it's totally hypothetical here. You've got guys from different eras racing each other. Guys from the 50s racing guys from the 2010s. I mean, how's that? What's that supposed to look like? And so, and it wasn't easy really to decide on an approach. We felt like it kind of came down to two possible approaches. Approach A would be to kind of normalize everything, and that would look like creating a time machine set to the 1960s or similar, where we'd send Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski back to 1960, driving an Oldsmobile or something to race alongside the founding fathers of NASCAR. Or we could do the opposite and put Tiny Lund in a Camaro in 2022 and have them all race in today's time, and kind of craft the ratings that way so everybody's on an even keel. Or we could pick a middle ground, somewhere in the 1980s. But the idea would be put them all in a time machine and send them to the same place with the same equipment. That was approach A. Approach B was more or less kind of a timeless approach. Kind of like, it occurred to me, it's kind of like the movie Cars, where you've got Lightning McQueen, and the King, and the fabulous Doc Hudson, all they're cars from completely different eras, driving competitively on the same track against each other, without any real anchor in time. So that's kind of what we decided to go for in this set. Ultimately, that's the presentation we chose, sort of a timeless set. The drivers are all going to perform like you would expect them to perform, but we're not trying to pin this to any particular statistical time period. The guys that wrecked a lot are going to wreck a lot. The guys that are good on short tracks, regardless of the era, are going to be good on short tracks in this set. So that's the approach we took in creating the ratings. And then, of course, it was, the work went into actually crafting the ratings based on, driver performance. It wasn't difficult choosing the drivers. In fact, the 75 drivers were chosen for us, really. We went with, the drivers that NASCAR chose because, who's going to argue with NASCAR, right? So the drivers were easy to choose and difficult to rate. So let's talk quickly about the presentation of the card set. We wanted to do something special for this card set. My first thought was to make the cards bigger, so they and more detailed, so they'd be kind of a little more blingy, and we also quickly realized that to have bigger cards meant we'd have to have bigger boards to put them on. We had to have a different board configuration in order to make those bigger cards fit. So that's the approach we decided to take, and let's take a look. Going to the game board here to show you the card design for the different cars. As you can see, they're bigger. We have 4 different car icons, and you can see it's a completely different card for those of you that are used to red, white, and blue racing. First of all, it's side view instead of top view. You can see there's a little bit more detail on the cards, on the cars themselves. The card layout is different. It's a landscape layout rather than a portrait layout. And it's a more, I think, more visually exciting, appearance. There is some consistency, though. You've got the trophy symbols, and all the ratings are the same. You will notice, however, that we have changed things around a little bit for this set. You'll notice that the gas pedal symbols are at the front of the car, and the brake pedal symbols are at the back. You'll also notice that the qualities are in a different order. Instead of having two columns of three qualities, we have the qualities kind of in all to the left side of the card, sort of flowing in. Well, I guess Richard Petty's got the most qualities. You can kind of see it sort of follows in sort of an arrow sort of flow to it. But other than that, the ratings are identical. We did this way really for aesthetic reasons. As you can see, there's really, there's drivers have more gas pedal symbols than they do brake symbols. Obviously, the game is set up with an average of 4 gas pedal symbols and 1 or none or 2 possibly brake symbols. So you can see that it's a lot easier to fit 2 brake symbols over here, and it's very difficult to fit 5 gas pedal symbols there. So that was the first thing that was like, well, let's just switch it around. And really, it kind of makes contextual sense as you're playing the game, because let's say Herb Thomas is challenging Richard Petty. You're going to check his gas pedals against Richard Petty's brakes. They're right side by side. This is your red die. This is your blue die. So in one sense, it's like, well, why didn't I do it this way to begin with? Because it kind of makes more sense this way. So I think it's different as you play it. You'll think your eye is going to be trained to go here to look for the gas pedal symbol. You quickly though go get into the flow, and it really is a great experience. I've obviously played this before I put it on the game table here for you to see, and it works really well. It's has a nice logical flow to it. And as far as the qualities work, I mean, that's kind of the same thing, because if a driver has one of these qualities, the challenged driver has one of these qualities, it counts as a brake symbol. So you can see, Herb Thomas is challenging Richard Petty for reflex, so he's going to have 5 gas pedals, and we got 1, 2, and 3, 4. We got the brake symbols right there along with the quality. So it kind of makes logical sense to do it this way. I think it's different than what you may be used to. Obviously, it's different than what you're used to, but it's a quick learn, and a really kind of a satisfying experience. So we have 4 different car icons in this set. The 50s icon is the Hudson kind of archetype. It's really actually sort of a combination of a Hudson and an Oldsmobile. Then the 70s cars. And we classify drivers based kind of on the era in which they fit best with the equipment. So we have the 70s vehicles, Richard Petty driving it's like a Dodge Charger, Ford Torino type car. Then I guess I skipped over there, didn't I? There's the 60s, 50s, and 60s, which Buck Baker and who else do we have here? Fireball Roberts, sort of a Ford Chevy amalgam look. And then, of course, the modern car, which is sort of anchored in the 90s, which has the classic NASCAR look. So these are our 4 archetypes. And, of course, we have a big stack of different cars. I don't want to go through them all, but we have Joey Logano and Bobby Allison and Joe Weatherly and Kyle Busch. You can see the cards all here. One thing you'll notice about these cards, in fact, somebody may have commented on this. Each of these cars has a little notation up underneath the gas pedals of red, white, or blue. I've only shown the red drivers here, but as you can see, as you get down further in the stack, we got Denny Hamlin has the white designation, and then down at the bottom we got Dick Hutcherson, who's blue. Harry Gant is rated blue, as Wendell Scott with blue. So you kind of get the idea. It's sort of ranked on career hierarchy. Now, the reason we did this was for qualifying. We added this wrinkle in order to make qualifying, your race week qualifying, easier. Because again, you're talking about the hypothetical context of all-time great racing, where you get 75 of the greatest drivers, or the 75 greatest drivers in the history of NASCAR, all showing up to race on the week, but there's only room on the track for 40 of them. So how do you decide who gets to go and who doesn't go? It's this strange problem. And Jerry and I had different ideas on how to accomplish this. Let me explain Jerry's idea, which is what we went with, and it really is it's a great idea, and I think most people will really acclimate to it very quickly. It works very well, and it's speedy. And then I'll outline what my idea was. And I'm sure there'll be some people that maybe want to try out my idea as well. But Jerry's idea was that most people are going to want to have the big hosses, in their epic 75 greatest races. You're going to want to see Richard Petty. And you're going to want to see Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, of course. So we've put all of the guys that you definitely want to have. You got to figure they're just going to be part of every race. Those guys all got the red designation, red, white, and blue. The red designation goes for the top tier guys. Those guys are going to be in all of the races. They're going to show up, and they're going to participate in race week. So this is kind of like this whole red, white, and blue designation is sort of a preliminary to race week. The white guys with the white designation, they're like the next tier down, and then the blue guys are the bottom tier. They're the guys that are sort of at the bottom of the hierarchy. Now, it's a very simple system that Jerry came up with to make this work. So what you do is you'll group them all, red, white, and blue. Let's get all the red guys in one pile here. Here's our blue guys. Oh, and I do want to say, we did give Tim Flock 2 car cards, because he's mainly a 50s driver, but he did race those epic Chrysler 300s. So I went ahead and just gave him 2 cards. There'll be a liner note about that. Obviously, you'll only run one of those cars in your races. He's in the red group. We'll give him the Hudson for this. And the blues go on the bottom, and the whites go in the middle. So what you do is you'll separate these. So, you get your cards. Oh, and I also want to say, we do have TV cards that are identical except they're yellow. So you can do this is for after, you've completed your race week. You'll have these cards available. We did, I'm going to parenthetically say, we did think about doing double-sided cards where you'd have, the TV card on one side and this on and the regular card on the other side. We considered doing that, but the problem with that is that you then, when you're doing race week, you can see the guy, there's no random to it. You'd have to put it in a, and we considered doing this, like having the set come in like a black velvet bag like they do for various other hobby games where you reach in and you pull one out because you can't see it, because you'd be able to see who the driver was regardless of which side it was on. Ultimately, we decided nobody wants to mess around with a bag, so we went ahead with the standard procedure of separate TV cards. So you'll get, with this set, you'll get a set of separate TV cards. Every driver gets a TV card, just like the regular sets. I'll set that aside. Okay, back to the race week pre-qualifying. You set the red guys aside. So let's just kind of time this. So to determine who's going to be in race week, you take the red guys, you set them aside. The white group, you separate from the blue group. You shuffle them up. And you randomly take 6 guys out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These guys are not going to show up this week. Junior Johnson, not going to be there. Bill Elliott, Mark Martin, Kevin Harvick. Oh, Dale Jr., not going to race this week. Red Byron. We're going to set these guys aside. The rest of the white group goes here. Blue group. Again, we're going to take 6 guys out. I'm going to shuffle these guys up. We'll take 6 guys out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These guys are going to show up. We got Greg Biffle, Neil Bonnet, Tiny Lund, Wendell Scott will be there, Jeff Bodine, and Jack Smith. These guys are not going to be there. And this is the group that we do for race week. We use these guys for race week. And we do this every week, like a preliminary to race week. We shuffle these up. This will be, I wish I should have written down the exact numbers. But it will be, you'll have about 50 guys, 50-something guys for race week. You're going to narrow that down to 43. So 7 of these guys, 5, 6, 7 of these guys are not going to qualify. They're going to get, either engine trouble, or they're going to wreck out, or, they're going to be in the bubble stack and not make the cut. But most of these guys are going to make it. You'll run a normal race week with about 50-something cars. Now, again, we have 6 as our arbitrary number. You could roll roll 2 dice like you do for the TV week. How many fast drivers were there? You roll 2 dice and add them up. It'll work exactly the same way if you want to do that. How many white group drivers are going to not be there? You roll 2. Oh, it's 4. Okay, so you'll only take 4 out this time. How many blue group drivers are going to show up? Well, I rolled an 11. Well, I'm going to put 11 of them in and put the rest of them aside. So there is some flexibility in it, but the bottom line is it streamlines the 75 driver cards down to a more manageable number that will work well with race week. Because if we did all 75 drivers for race week, the way the game's not set up for that, first of all, but second of all, you would exclude. There would be a chance of excluding some really good drivers just because they were like last to be drawn randomly. Like the top group and the middle group are all full, and the bottom group is getting full, and now you draw Richard Petty, so he's going to go in the bubble stack. So, with the trophy symbols set up the way it is, it works better to get that number down from 75 to a more manageable number, and this works really well. So kudos to Jerry for coming up with this idea. The idea that I had was what I also think will work well, but it will take more time. So my idea was to do the race week normally with all 75 drivers and the bubble stack and everything, and then the drivers that make the first 30, you have a cutoff of 38. So you're going to have 38 drivers that are in, 37 that are not. Then of the 37 drivers that are not, you have a preliminary race. It doesn't have to be a full race, but it could be like a 20-turn race. And you set up the order, the pole. So you go to 1 to 38 qualify for the race. Then you have 5 open wild card slots. All right, you have a separate race to determine who gets those 5. So the top 5 finishers in the preliminary race will get those last 5 slots. So what you would do is you take qualifier number 39. So 1 through 38 make the race. Qualifier 39 gets the pole position for this preliminary race. Qualifier number 40 gets the number 2 position, and so on all the way down to the very end. And then you do like a short race, and whoever finishes the top 5 guys, then the guy that wins it gets the 39th position. The guy that finishes second gets the 40th position, and you fill out your race lineup that way. Again, it'll take more time. If you're going to run a 30 race season with this set or something, then maybe that's not so workable. But if you're going to do a half dozen races, maybe you're going to do a little project where you're doing one race on each kind of track. You're going to do a super speedway and an intermediate track and a short track and a road course and a dirt track. You're going to do one race on each. Maybe you want to do this. Maybe you want to extend it a little bit so you're actually doing 5 full races and 5 kind of qualifying preliminary races. So it's just kind of an option for you. We'll outline both of those options in the liner notes that will come with this set. So that's the driver cards. Let me show you the track cards. Track cards are very similar to what you've seen before, except we've color-coded them. They're in color, obviously, and we've color-coded them so that the road courses, is it all on there? I think it is. Here we go. So the dirt track has kind of an earthy tone to it. Super speedways are blue. The short tracks are red. Road courses are yellow, and the intermediate courses are gray. So there are 36 courses, 36 track cards that come with the set. And I don't remember the exact breakdown, but it's a half dozen dirt courses and half dozen super speedways. I think intermediate tracks have a couple extra, but you can see by the color distribution, it's pretty evenly distributed. And we use historical numbers for the track cards. So those are the track cards. Let's show you the game boards now. Let's get Tim Flock out of here. So as I said, it will require bigger game boards to fit these cards. And we've come up with a bifold game board that will come with, you'll get this with your set. You'll get the track cards, you'll get the driver cards, the TV cards, and you'll get the liner notes, and you'll get this these 2 bifold game boards that will set up just like this. And I'm going to make sure it lies flat. And you're going to set up the cards just like this. And we're just going to line up like this. And we'll just forego the qualifying part here. But as you can see, Sam's wiggling around so it fits on the screen. It is a little bit larger than our screen view, but it's not it's not uncomfortably large. It's not going to take up 2 tables. You can easily be able to fit this, I think, on your standard game space. So I have not done anything about these. Just randomly choosing drivers here. Oh, you know, I don't have any dice.
Throw some TV drivers in there too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Need some dice?
Yeah, give me a red, white, and blue. Give me black, black, 2 silver, and a red, white, and blue. Oh, who should be? Oh, let's put Kyle Busch. Let's bump Jim Pascal. Put Kyle Busch here as a TV driver. And who do we have here? Junior Johnson. Did I? Oh, it doesn't. Why am I obsessing over this? I'm trying to find somebody I've already got out here. We'll put Matt Kenseth here. We'll take Jeff Bodine. So I got Matt Kenseth here. All right, and then the rest of the drivers, of course, go in the bottom stack here. Obviously, we don't have a third board to spread all of them out because that would take up too much time. But it's going to use the standard, stack for the bottom group. All right, so here we go. In our track card, let's just pick a track. Let's do a short track. How about it? Let's do a dirt track. Now let's do a short track. Let's do North Wilkesboro. All right. So I mean, it plays exactly. I don't know why I'm even doing this. It plays exactly the same. And of course, it wouldn't be a play stream unless I dropped the dice. Of course. So there we go. Got to get that out of the way early. All right. Here we go. We'll run a turn or two. So we got, let's see, it's going to be a top group challenge for heat. So these guys are challenging Greg Biffle. We start with Tiny Lund. Here's our red, white, and blue. He has heat, so we're going to look at 3. We need a red die 3. Oh, it's already a failed challenge. No heat for Neil Bonnet. No heat here. Wendell Scott challenging Greg Biffle for the lead. And that is good here. And I believe it's outside. No, it's... I'm sorry, it's red. It's outside his range. Would have Greg Biffle easily held off Wendell Scott. Here's Jack Smith. That will work. 3 and 2 Biffle. Let's see. So he doesn't have heat, but he does it, and he is the race leader with 2 brake bonus. So he's got a 3 breaks here. So a 4, 5, or 6. Well, blue 4, 5, or 6 will defeat him if it's within the red. But Jack Smith can't cut it, and Bobby Labonte doesn't have heat, so Greg Biffle's going to hold on. Let's do a second turn here. And it's going to be another top group challenge, and this time it will be for smart, the smart quality. All right, let's see who's got the smart quality. Not Tiny Lund, not Neil Bonnet. Wow, okay, looks like Jack Smith is the only one that's got the smart quality here. And Greg Biffle, again, does not have smart, so it will be, again, blue 4, 5, or 6 is enough to get past Greg Biffle. Here's Jack Smith, and he's stopped by Greg Biffle. So we go to the next turn. And anyway, that's how it works. I would have liked to have some movement. Let's do one more turn. No, we didn't have a single winning challenge. It's a middle group challenge for reflex. We should have some action here. Middle group challenge for reflex. So let's start with Fred Lorenzen. And that will be a good challenge, I believe, because the 3 falls here. The 6 is outside. We're looking at box 5, so it's Neil Bonnet's going to fall. So, all right. And we go to Rusty Wallace, who does not have the... yes, he does have the reflex, all right. That's also going to be a good challenge. Oh, it's going to knock Fred Lorenzen right back out of there. So Rusty Wallace moves up here. Go to Alan Kulwicki. He does not have... Yeah, he does. Basically, it looks like most of them do have a reflex. Sorry, I need to talk into the microphone. Kulwicki's going to be stopped because of the blue 1. Carl Edwards. The red 6 will not work. And no reflex. Here's Rex White. And let's see, we get 2. Oh, that's going to be a good challenge. Rex White is going to knock out Matt Kenseth. Kyle Larson is next. No, he doesn't have reflex. Brad Keselowski will go next. And that will be a good challenge, I think. Oh, a lot of action in the number 6 positions. Keselowski is going to take care of Rusty Wallace and move up to 6th place.
Here's an interesting question when you got a second.
Sure.
Are these cards rated for the driver's best season or for their career?
They're rated career. It's sort of like right. They're not. It's not rated for a particular season. It's rated for their overall career, and kind of they're sort of ranked against each other. And Jerry did a lot of research to make this an accurate. I think. I mean, nobody knows more about NASCAR than Jerry does. Let's finish this out here. We got 4 guys left to challenge. Martin Truex is going to make it. He's going to knock out Jack Smith. Benny Parsons is next. So you see I'm going 19th, right up to 8th. Here's Benny Parsons. That's not going to work. Whenever I see a red die 6, I know that's not going to work. Buddy Baker is going to move into Wendell Scott's place. And Kyle Busch with the last challenge. And that will be no-go because of the blue die 1 and the brake bonus of 1. All right, so that's how we would move. The cars move exactly the same. It's cool. It's a great visual, though, I think. And I hope you agree. If you don't, then I guess it's nothing I can do about that now. So that's our 75 years of racing tribute package for Red, White, and Blue Racing. If you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email at info@PLAAY.com. We're going to make this available June 1st. June 1st. Not quite Memorial Day weekend, but pretty close. Apologize for the waffling on the release date. We got a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes with of course the Binge Week Golf bundle, which we ran out of golf mats, and now we're trying to coordinate the rain check on that. Plus we have some exciting news about scorecards that we're going to be talking about next week. Mike Fitzgerald is going to join us. Not next week, 2 weeks from now. And next week, Sam's not going to be here. Sam's going to Japan, believe it or not. Something he's wanted to do for a long, long time. A good friend of his who speaks fluent Japanese, which will be a huge help, is going to kind of be his tour guide. They're going to fly over there, flying out tomorrow night. So he's going to be gone next week. I'll be running the show myself, just like old times, right? But he'll be back a week from Sunday, and then the following week is when we'll get Mike in studio on Thursday. Might be a little earlier than our normal stream time, but hopefully not too much earlier. Mike will join us, and we'll talk about some cool behind-the-scenes stuff with scorecards. And also, it's the official launch date. It'll be the 26th of May. Our official launch, the stream will be on the 25th. The official launch date is the 26th for scorecards. Super excited about that, and Mike is too, and he'll be joining us here in the studio 2 weeks from tonight.
Quick note, this is the wait list is available.
Oh yes, we are making the page available to get on the wait list for this 75 years of racing tribute package. That'll help us, know how many of these to print out. But yes, we're doing a couple of small tweaks. There's room on there. We may add a couple of alternate cars besides Tim Flock's. There are a couple guys that drove in different eras, and it might be kind of fun to have 2 cars. I don't want to have too many of those because then you got to sort a lot, but it might be fun to have a couple of cars for some drivers. So we may add a couple more to the set. Right now there's 76 drivers in the set, 76 cars in the set representing 75 drivers. And yes, the wait list is up and active as of now. So thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate you being here. I know you got a zillion things to do just like we do, and to take time out to sit in front of your computer and watch a stream about a game is I appreciate it. We both, Sam and I, appreciate you taking the time. We love this community, and just so many great people in it, and we appreciate you being part of it. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you in 2 weeks right here on the Play Space Live.